What's up, guys? Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind the bar reviews for 7 Deadly Sins. This chapter sucks. Let's be honest. Let's spend the next 9 to 10 minutes because this is going to be a very short review. Otherwise, it's just going to be a rant. And I don't want to make a rant video. I want to make a review video. That's for my live streams. That's for my Discord. If you're interested in ranting and discussing these problems with me, Discord's the best place to do it. Link is in the box below. Or wait for me to do a random stream. I usually bring it up there. No, this chapter's trash. I mean, there's 5 chapters left apparently, and this is one of them. Apparently it's official this time, out of the 3 times it's been official, but it's official. Nakaba is ending the series. The series is over. 5 chapters left. We won't hit 350 is at the end of the day. I don't know if this is the 5th out of 5 chapters or the 1st out of the 5, however you want to look at it. I don't know if it's the 6th one, and then from here on we'll have 5. There's a break next week. I have no idea. By the sounds of it, we're not supposed to reach 350 chapters. That's from what I've understood. And I can see why. I don't understand how series, that can tank so hard can actually still go on this long. Bleach was doing well. Fullbring arc, yeah, okay. And the Quincy arc had some rough patches, but the 1,000-Year Blood War arc was on the rise among fans. It was approved. And they canceled that. Toriko was getting to some really good stuff. They canceled that. Fairy Tail just kept going until friendship was a joke, and Mashima actually made jokes about Urza's invincibility and stuff, breaking the 4th wall in his own manga, for God's sakes. That's how far that went. But this, I thought, Jesus, I've been working in the basement too much, a bunch of dust on this shirt. I thought that maybe we'd get something good here with Kath. I thought maybe we might get some insight, maybe a little bit of dialogue and stuff, but this chapter, all it brings us is they fight but they don't fight. And I have so many problems with this chapter. So many numerous amounts of issues with the chapter itself. Because the chapter actually goes on to state that, okay, Kath basically became a slothful kitty cat. And went, what would matter? But see, the problem is we never get to his point. I just finished playing Far Cry 5, and for those of you who know about the Far Cry franchise, they always have this twisted ideology and logic that you can at least, they're insane, they're crazy, but you can at least start to understand how they got to that point. You see the flaws in their reasoning and their logic, but you can understand how someone who maybe went a little too far one way or the other way might have come to this conclusion. And I'm sitting here thinking that Kath has reached that. And we're going to get some philosophical, interesting stuff, because he starts off by saying about Camelot, he goes, what would it matter if 7 Deadly Sins and Demon King did not destroy Camelot? I'm like, okay, where's this going? At first I was intrigued, only to be disappointed. Because he basically says, yeah, Camelot, what would that matter? What would the people matter? What would matter if you were there at all? What would matter if it had been saved? What would matter if it was here right now? And I'm like, okay, are we going to reach some deep philosophical meaning? Am I expecting too much? Yeah, I was. I really was. I was expecting too much from Nakaba as a writer. He's not a great writer. And this is something that I should have seen coming, but for some reason, because I like Kath's design, I decided to fall prey to Kath and listen for a moment. And by doing that, I was so wrong. Because all he basically says is, in the end, it all would be devoured by me. He spends basically the first 4 pages, a quarter of this chapter, basically on this. He's going to reach some deeper meaning. Maybe we'll get some type of Breakfast Club thing going on, some Far Cry shit. Maybe it's going to be some Kisuke Urahara level, Soul King stuff. No. Maybe some homunculus level Full Metal Alchemist stuff. No. Maybe some Death Note. I mean, okay, I didn't think it would be that far. But maybe we get something. But what we get is cookie cutter. None of this would matter at all. If this had happened, if that had happened, if this person didn't betray that person or that, it's all irrelevant. And I'm like, okay, why? Because I would devour everything right now anyways, including you. I know it's the middle of the week. But I need that. I need that to edit this video. I need that to get through reading that chapter. I need that just to talk about it. Like, already I'm mad. And then what do they do? What do they do? So, finally, they say, well, I've heard enough of this. And Bond's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get a fight. How good's the fight going to be? The fight is montage. I didn't realize you could montage in a manga. I didn't realize you could actually do a montage of a fight. But they do. They do. Kath in the center and a bunch of panels of what everybody's doing. And then Merlin, of course it's gotta be Merlin, freeze. She freezes Kath in place. It's like, okay, here, I had to nitpick about the beginning because I need to amp myself up for how bad this is, how horrendous this is. From this point on, this has become even worse than I could have imagined. This is so bad. Fairy Tail is good. I can go back and rewatch Fairy Tail's last arc. I can reread the end of Fairy Tail because I know what to expect. Friendship, but at least I expect great art and honestly pretty good characters. You know, like I can reread the Grand Magic Games, which a lot of people dropped. That wasn't that bad. You know, like I can actually get behind a lot of Fairy Tail. Can't get behind this. I cannot. I am so glad because a good friend of mine, Chubb on my Discord, said it best when he said, I hope that this doesn't reach the 400 chapter mark. And I said, why? And he said, because that would mean over 25, that would mean exactly 25%, because chapter 300 is where everything went shit. That would mean that 100 chapters, 25%, a quarter of this series was shit, was worse than Fairy Tail. I was just like mind blown and accurate. So I'm kind of glad it's ending, because now it's only going to be an eighth of the series was shit. But this, okay, so she freezes him, and we're not going to get into the realm about that, but here's where everything goes downhill. Let's just talk about it. They all walk away. We have a giant demon cat that survived a reality warping god, a god creator's attacks, who apparently is beyond what the Demon King ever was. And we're just going to leave this thing frozen in time. And Merlin's like, the thing will be released one day, not sure when, meh. And they accept that. I don't care how close, canceled, like Nakaba's like, we're canceling the series, so I gotta make this illusion thing happen really, really fast. I gotta make this dream sequence. I gotta make this thing. And, so they attacked Kath and battle ended, and then we went to the illusion, but that's the only possible future. I don't care. I don't care that it only has 5 chapters left. You know what Kubo did when he knew he was being canceled? Bonkai, 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 Bonkai. He gave us them. Did he give us them hugely? No, but he went, Shusui Bonkai, Kenpachi Bonkai, Keisuke Ohara, probably the most sought after Bonkai in the whole damn series since we learned about Bonkai. Bonkai, Bonkai, Bonkai. It was a Bonkai bargain sale, as Super Saiyan Vegeta would say. It was a 2-for-1 Bonkai bargain sale. This is not a Bonkai bargain sale. This is bad, because the characters now have been taken and made look stupid. You will not convince me that they would just walk away from this embodiment of an evil demon cat suspended in animation Seal's not perfect. Still there in the ruins of wherever they are. Camelot, I forget where they are. It does not matter. And somewhere in Britannia, we're just going to leave this thing for the masses to deal with. Everybody walk away and live their lives. Apparently live them for 60 odd years. Because there's a possible future. At first I was like, illusion. Okay, I could get behind the fact if it was an illusion. But no, this is a possible future. Meaning this could potentially happen. And I'm like, no, this potentially could not happen. Alright, regardless of Merlin would not just walk away from that thing. Merlin would be like, okay, Arthur, we're going to train you up. I'm going to dissect this cat safely, bit by bit. I'm going to examine it. I'm going to acknowledge it. Lady of the Lake is going to get involved. Arthur, you're going to train yourself up. We are going to eradicate this thing before my seal breaks, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go back every 5 years and make sure that that seal is still in place and add another seal on top of it and just keep, adding shit. That's what Merlin would do. Arthur wouldn't let that stand. Meliodas and Elizabeth be like, yeah, okay, well, Arthur, Merlin, bye. That's fantastic. We'll leave it in your capable hands that you're not going to deal with. Meliodas would not walk away from that thing. He would not. Meliodas is the only reason that they are there in this battle in the first place. He would not walk away from that thing. Be like, yeah, it's still glaring at me, and it's definitely not sealed completely, but... And I saw what sealing did last time. I mean, the goddess seal, the 10 Commandments, the Holy War. Yeah, that worked out so well last time when we left that alone now, didn't we? Instead of finishing them off. So, yeah, it's not within their character to do this. The Sins would not agree to this. King would speak up. Bond would speak up. Gother would speak up. Meliodas would goddamn well speak up. This doesn't make any sense as a possible future. Okay, so basically what happens here is this whole thing's a dream or a future thing. Keth actually was never frozen, locked them into this dream sequence where they happen to win, and they go 60 years. Give or take. It's not stated, but I'm just assuming 60. Elizabeth's, in her teenage years, 16, 18, something like that. She dies in this flashback, in this possible alternate future. So I'm assuming she's in her 70s-ish. So I said 60 odd years. 70s, maybe early 80s. So 50 to 60 odd years go by. Meliodas is king. They get married. Elizabeth dies, which once again, I don't buy that. Like, first off, the fact of the matter is that I thought when Elizabeth reawoken, I could be wrong about this, but does Elizabeth in her human form ever showcase wings? I'm pretty sure she can't die like that, Now that she's awakened, doesn't she technically become a goddess? Because unlike Escanor, where we see detrimental effects to a human given the power of a goddess or a grace, Elizabeth seems to be able to showcase arcs and shit just fine. And we see no detrimental effects other than when she gets her memories back, she dies. So I don't really even buy that. I mean, I'm not saying there's any actual evidence. For once, Nakaba was kind of unclear with that. So, I have to kind of accept it. But I don't like that ending. I don't like to believe the fact that they finally get away with this. And now, because that makes no sense, because of the anime, which showcased, and Nakaba's own writing, showcasing that he's done this before. Meliodas has lived a full life with Elizabeth as a human, and she's died. And then he just keeps going on, lonely as hell. So this isn't their happy ending. Why would he ever want to end the curse if that was the case? Wouldn't he wait until she was reincarnated as a giant, a fairy, or not a human? That just makes no sense to me that he would try to end the curse when she's human, if he's already been through that. Knowing that, so that doesn't even really make a whole lot of sense to me. I was always under the impression she would regain her goddess body in some format, or they'd find a way to do it, or time would kind of go slow because she's technically a goddess soul inside a human body, something, vessel. I don't know. I just didn't buy the fact that she would die after, 60 odd years like a regular human. There's so much to go over. Plus, apparently Bond just died. No big deal, in the fairy realm. Apparently they can't visit there. This makes no... okay, so Elaine can't leave. Let me say that again. Elaine can't leave. Oh. I thought that Meliodas, I thought the worst part was the fact that they just walked away from a god being not properly sealed and just lived their lives. But the fact is, they all split up. They don't know where Gother is. Hawk's not around anymore. This alternate future makes sense as an illusion. I hope the official translation says that Arthur's wrong or Cass is wrong. I forget who's speaking. But that this is not a possible future. Because this is not a possible future for these characters. Seven Deadly Sins wouldn't split up like that. Bond wouldn't just go into the fairy realm. King, Elaine, Bond, Deanne, they would not just all go into the fairy realm, live there, and that's it. Especially since apparently she's Queen of the Giants according to this. Last time I checked, the Giants live in the mortal plane. But she can't go, so Deanne doesn't come back from there. They would not miss Meliodas and Elizabeth's wedding. They would be there, and then they'd schedule their own wedding. You can't convince me that they'd not leave the fairy realm or can't leave. You can't convince me that Elaine can't leave, for God's sake. If she's a new queen of the fairy realm, fantastic. Fairy realm's been without one for fucking 20 years. King left. King's been gone for hundreds of years. And Elaine had to stay because of the Fountain of Youth. When Elaine died, what happened? Last time I checked, nothing. Bond was still traveling around. But he'd show up every couple of years. Here's some Fountain of Youth blood, blah, blah, blah. He could still leave. Now, apparently, there is supposedly a difference between the Fairy King's forest and the fairy realm. Apparently, the fairy realm is within the Fairy King's forest. And there's something, it's screwy about that. But that's Nakaba's bad world-building explanations. Even if that's the case, why would anybody go live there then? Last time I checked, there were tons of fairies, all the important ones too, living in the Fairy King's forest, which is now revitalized, which you can go into. There's a barrier and all that shit, but you can't convince me you can't walk out of it. And what is Elaine not being able to leave the fairy realm for? That doesn't make any sense. She hasn't been alive for decades. And King and Bond, who are the only two other candidates during this interim, have been with the Seven Deadly Sins. So the Fairy King's forest and the fairy realm have survived for decades without one, but God forbid she leave in this alternate future. See, that's actually that's broken. That makes no sense. That's inconsistent. Because unless you tell me, unless you show me someone who took place for this important role that Elaine can no longer leave, and that's why they split up, and that's why Bond isn't seen, and Bond just randomly dies apparently, and Meliodas doesn't even mention, oh yeah, we went, Bond came here or we went there or something. Apparently they can't go to the fairy realm or some weird stuff. I know it's sped up, but the dialogue is so clunky, it doesn't make any sense. Deanne and King didn't come to their wedding because they're planning their own wedding. No, Deanne and King would go to Meliodas and Elizabeth's wedding, and then they would all go to their wedding. They would all be there. Gotha wouldn't just leave. Merlin and Arthur would show up. This just makes no sense. This is not... Please, official translation. Who does this? Kodansha Comics? KC Comics. KC. So, KC, Kodansha. Well, I'm terrible at pronunciation. I pray that they fix that. Because this chapter might be one of the worst. I keep saying that. That's so sad. That's the saddest part. Every chapter seems to be I haven't seen a chapter this bad since 300. Yes, I have. The previous chapter. And probably the next one. This is so goddamn stupid. This is so bad. I can't take this. This is dreadful. Just clean and kill. Don't let the horse suffer. Bullet. Be done. Don't do this. How, Nakaba? How did you do this? Seven Deadly Sins keeps dropping for me in rating. I used to consider it an 8, maybe even a 9 out of 10 series. It's barely pushing a 7 with no Escanor, and now, chapters like this make me hate. Make me actually hate this series now. Because I've had, out of the last 42 chapters, I've had 2 good ones. 2. That's 38 bad chapters. That's over a year. That's almost 2 years of shit. This is so bad. Like, this whole dream sequence illusion where everybody dies makes no sense. It's not within the characters, but it's considered an alternate future. A possible future, according to Arthur, who somehow pulls Meliodas back out of it. I guess Arthur and Meliodas are the only ones affected here at the end of the chapter. And they're ready to fight Kath again. Everyone else is frozen with a blank stare on their face. And it's explained that this is a possible future that you saw glimpses of. And I'm like, I don't care how improbable it might be. It's not a possible future for the reasons I listed. Forget the inconsistencies with the friendships and the weddings and stuff. But once again, back to original point. They wouldn't have walked away. None of them. Maybe Deanne because she's stupid. Maybe Hawk because he's, once again, stupid. But you can't convince me that King and Bond and Elizabeth and Arthur and, I mean, at this point, Merlin can go just, you know. I don't know if I'm being too harsh here, guys. I have no idea. It's just, okay, the end of the chapter, as I said, they're ready to fight again. Kath gives us no new information, and apparently Arthur knows, I know his weakness, I know how to defeat him. And I'm like, you know what? Nobody will convince me that Nakaba has been doing any of these chapters because of that time limit thing. Because the series is ending. Can't convince me of that. Because it's been bad for over a year. The pacing, everything has been bad for over a year. So you can't convince me that any of this has to even do with the deadline. Like, we can excuse Tite Kubo for the end of Bleach. You can even, I don't like Naruto, but even I can, when Naruto fans defend that that's what happened with Naruto. Alright. Toriko. I can defend Toriko. I can defend a lot of series for doing that. You know, time crunch, and that's not fair. But here, it's justified. This thing should have been axed 30 chapters ago. So, yeah, apparently Arthur knows the way. Show me the way. I don't know. Mandalorian, this is the way. But Arthur's got some plan. He's going to, what is he going to let himself be eaten whole, pull a Super Boo Vegito thing, go inside the body and tear it out from the inside out? Is he going to take that bet? Because I didn't see anything in the lines. Granted, I'm not looking that hard anymore because it doesn't matter how hard you look. It doesn't matter how many connect the dots you do. It doesn't matter how many myths and legends. If you're a goddamn PhD in Arthurian legend, Nakaba will just be like, well, no, that was never the case because retcon inconsistency, I didn't think about it, I'm a bad writer. I mean, what reason do you want to use? He's got a checklist at this point. He's got a clipboard with about 10 bullshit reasons as to why, no matter what your theories are, even though how much evidence and how cool it would be in the story, it won't pan out and it'll be something freaking stupid. Okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Thank God there's a break next week because I would drop this series right now. I have been this close for so long and I would drop the series right now if there wasn't a break next week because I just can't take this. I mean, I know we're at the final stretch, but I would literally save the last 5 chapters for a big live stream, a read-through live stream or some shit. I might still do that. I don't know. How can a series that I love so much go down and tank so terribly to this level? We're not talking about a spinoff. We're not talking about a sequel series. We're talking about the main canon. Say what you want about Bleach. Say what you want about Dragon Ball Z. Say what you want about Toriko. Say what you want about One Piece. Say what you want about, I don't know, History's Strongest Disciple. I'm trying to think of a long-running series. Not Naruto because I don't like it. But I can defend those. I can't defend this. At all. I can defend Fairy Tail. I like Fairy Tail more than Seven Deadly Sins. Because early Fairy Tail was awesome. It was really good. It was on par with Taizai's beginning. The difference is Fairy Tail last 40 chapters are better than these 40 chapters. Alright, that's it. Before I say anything I'll regret, like, comment, subscribe. Dislike the video if you think I'm hating too much on it. You know, that's within your right. Leave me a comment below. Tell me why, that kind of stuff. Join the Discord if you want. We can discuss this more. I might do a live stream this weekend or something about that. We really need to bring this up again. We need to discuss this some more. But amongst you guys, I want to hear your thoughts. So I won't promise anything, but maybe a live stream this weekend. This has been Griever, Behind the Bar Reviews, 7 Deadly Sins, 342. It goddamn well sucked. Drink responsibly, because I sure can't.